Adobe Acrobat Studio, so brand new. Show me all the things PDFs can do. Do your work with ease and speed. PDF Spaces is all you need. Do hours of research in an instant with key insights from an AI assistant. Pick a template with a click. Now your prezzo looks super slick. Close that deal? Yeah, you won. Do that, doing that, did that, done. Now you can do that with Acrobat. Now you can do that with the all-new Acrobat. It's time to do your best work with the all-new Adobe Acrobat Studio.
This episode is supported by PrizePicks. PrizePicks now has early payouts. You now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. And with a new social feeds feature, you can share PrizePicks with your friends and copy lineups from winners with a single click. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code DFS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code DFS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers DFS and Betting Podcast with your hosts, Kyle Borganoni and Matthew Betz.
Welcome in, boys and girls. It's a great day to be alive here. Fantasy Footballers DFS and Betting Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Borganoni, a champ, and I am joined, as always, by Matthew. He's a champ too, Betz.
Oh, baby. There's a little extra pep in the step this morning, Kyle, on a lovely, brisk Tuesday, December
Great
morning.
Day.
What a day to be alive. Yeah, congratulations to everybody out there that won, importantly, DFS, best ball, all those things. But there is just nothing like making fun of your high school friends and your home league and just letting them know, what's up. So I did my obligatory text to all my league mates in every 15, 20 minutes, just a nice hey, hope you're having a great day today. Thanks for a great season. Hope you have a nice off season. I sent somebody else a link to our show if they want some help. just stuff like that. Everybody's getting an individual text,
Nice.
Just rub it in their face. So you have to bask in it, man. It's hard to win a title. So when you do, remember, you're legally obligated to make fun of your friends for at least the next 3 months and let them know what's up. So yeah, man, congratulations to you, all the listeners, anybody else out there that won something this year. It's always fun to get to the end of the season, wrap it up, and hopefully somebody out there brought home a trophy. So congrats, everybody.
Yeah, we want to celebrate with you in whatever way, whether it's best ball, your home league, your dynasty, your 28-person punting league, whatever league you are in. We are down with that. Yeah, Mike and I's team in the League of Record, just a dominant performance in the playoff. The thing that I've been thinking of, has there ever been a better duo in fantasy to have than Christian McCaffrey and Bijan Robinson on the same team?
I have one of those in a dynasty league, and it is,
oh man,
brother, it is something else. Let me tell you, there has to be. I was thinking about this from a best ball perspective because of thinking about where ADPs were. There had to be a couple teams that had some combination of either McCaffrey plus Derrick Henry in week 17 or
Yes.
Bijan and Derrick Henry in week 17, and those teams obviously just went absolutely nuts. So, man, it's really fun to see, not old, but the older running backs still show they can do it. Henry coming off a 40 ball in that game, McCaffrey going crazy. One more go around with the best fantasy running backs of the last decade.
Yes, and I don't want to hear from anyone to give their level of analysis. Just says, I didn't draft Christian McCaffrey because he was hurt in X year. Sure, if you want to play that way, in best ball, we don't have to play that way at all. We're literally saying all or nothing. So I did love that Christian McCaffrey in our rankings, and from day one, this was a Mike thing, but I think this was us, but I just said, I'm going to click Christian McCaffrey more than any other player in the first round, and that's what's going to end up in my exposure. So that felt really nice. It was possible. I looked at some builds at early on before McCaffrey was a mid-first round pick. He was a late first-round pick. It's possible to start off your draft with McCaffrey, Puka, and JSN.
Oh, baby. That had to be the nuts.
Oh, well, I didn't have McCaffrey on this team, But the one that we drafted for this podcast was a Puka and JSN team, and it wiped the floor. There was, after about week 13, I was like, oh, this is wrapped up.
Dude, it's so fun. I mean, the other thing about kind of the starts that we had this year with best ball and everything, as far as the ADPs go, it's so funny how like every chunk of the season, and it's like this in the awards market too, like we're so reactionary to kind of like the last 3 or 4 weeks. And if there was a certain point of the season where it's like, dude, if you didn't have JSN and Jonathan Taylor, it's like, you're probably not winning much this year. And then, Tony Pollard like kind of explodes down the stretch, or just, I love that part of best ball where it's like, it's so cyclical and there's so much luck in terms of like when your guys spike versus when they have a 4 week and all that sort of stuff. But it's really a good reminder too, for those that drafted a ton of Emeka Bigbu. Looking at myself, after the first like 6 weeks, I was already counting.
You
the
were
plus 5,000 ticket,
sniffing your farts.
I was already counting Rookie of the Year ticket at plus 5,000, and it's a good reminder to all of us, including you and me, that things just change so much throughout the course of the season. But what a wild 2025 season it was.
Yeah, you and I have talked a little bit about how the markets work for the awards, Offensive Player of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, MVP. And there's been some discourse online, which I appreciate, and this has been one of my issues with even college football, is that rankings and odds change so much based on what have you done for me lately, where if Matthew Stafford has that game he just had against the Falcons, which we've said this before, and maybe you weren't listening, folks, but you don't just walk into Mercedes-Benz Stadium and get a victory, especially this year, man. The primetime games, Kirk Cousins and the boys show out. My brother was there. I had a lot of friends at the game. I mean, it was really, really fun. But if Stafford had that game in week 3, okay, which imagine the Falcons showing up in week 3. But if they did, MVP conversation would change. Now, Drake May had his 5-touchdown game. The odds shifted dramatically. And we did talk about it on this podcast. I even on the main show, I said, guys, we need to understand that where Drake May is at, the field is so overconfident, or the odds are so overconfident in Stafford that Drake May at plus, I think he was like plus 180, plus 200 a couple weeks ago. It's like, this is a really good bet based on how things shift. And I hate that though. I hate it because it's really not who has the best body of work over the course of the season. It's right, what have you done for me lately? Now, if you use a lot of EPA metrics, Drake May should win the MVP award. You and I want him to win the MVP award. I also have a soft spot in Stafford in my heart as a Georgia boy. But Drake May, congrats, Betz. That was basically one of your best calls of the year.
I don't know if it's a foregone conclusion though. Like
I think it should be at this point.
Well, so here's the thing about the Rams, and we're going to talk about this in a minute. Historically, McVay rests starters in Week 18 if there's minimal to play for,
and he's a
liar. And he's a liar. And I would say right now there's minimal to play for. They're either the 5 or the 6 seed. They can't be worse or better than that. Now, you could say, I want to try to get the 5 seed
to play
because the NFC South, air quotes, will have a champion this year, and you get to play them if you're the 5 seed. But that will already be decided basically on Saturday night, depending on what happens between San Fran and Seattle. So there's a chance we could see shenanigans on Sunday from the Rams. But as of last night, he said, look, we played terribly. We have to have, play better football and going into the postseason. So he has said they're playing starters. If they do, I could see Stafford having a ton of success. 303 against, the Cardinals, right? It's like, obviously. So anybody out there that is holding a Drake May ticket, which there are a bunch of people in Discord, they've tagged us, asked me, like, should I cash out? Should I let it ride? All those things. First off, team never cash out unless it's the Raiders at over 5.5 wins. Or last year, Anthony Richardson for MVP. I did cash out in like week 4. But at this point, you have so much EV in that ticket that you're holding. I'm not cashing out. I would put a small wager on Stafford, assuming your odds are favorable and all those things, to guarantee yourself a huge profit. Because people that had Drake May have him at 50 to 1 and stuff like that. Like, I personally would probably put a small wager on Stafford at this point, just in case May only plays for a half or something. Like, they don't have a ton to play for this week. If the Rams actually play it straight up and Stafford goes for a huge game, that's how I would approach it. But yeah, if anybody out there is holding a Drake May MVP ticket, you have to be feeling so good right now. What a season for the Patriots, for Drake May. And, it's it's been a really fun year in the NFL because there's so much, I think, uncertainty. Even in Week 18, like you could talk me into like 7 or 8 of these teams winning the Super Bowl, and I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. And normally there's like 3 or 4 that you're like, those guys are the only ones that could win it this year. I think it's wide open. So I'm excited for the postseason, and I'm kind of excited for how things have unfolded in the NFL this year.
I'm going to cut right through whatever Sean McVay bullcrap he's going to share, because not only will info change, so Betz is right on. Like, things will change throughout the week. The tone will change. I just think at the end of the day, they have rested one of their starters, Devontae Adams, the last 2 weeks. And I think that they will because he's historically done it. I think McVay isn't one of those people that's sitting there thinking that the seeding is worth having one of his players injured. I think that Stafford and the way that this team is built, they could beat any team. Like it wouldn't shock me if they came out of the NFC. Now, going on the road's tough, obviously, but I think they could do it. Betz has an article that will be up on the site. It's called Week 18 Playoff Motivation. We also have player incentives that will be a part of that. If that's really important to you and you think that is a huge motivating factor about, hey, Saquon Barkley needs 87 more total yards to get money, that's a part of the process this week. But as we walk through this Week 18 slate, just realize there is a level of what we would say is rational thinking. So I do think my rational side says, okay, the Rams should play for this because the Panthers or Buccaneers are a worse team. But that's not really how things work in terms of playing time all the time. Just based on what we see from paper, things change when it comes push to shove. So we have that on the website if you want to look through all the teams, all the motivations. We talk through that, what's at stake, what they could do, all those things. It's really, really fun if you're looking at every single team. Because, we know most of the playoff teams other than the NFC South and the AFC North. So that, in that sense, like usually we'd be waiting on a wild card team or two. This year we don't need any of that. But there is a lot at stake between the 1, 2, and 3 seeds.
For sure, yeah. And it kind of, unfortunately, in the NFC, it's really fun. And it's basically that Saturday night game. There's a 2-gamer on Saturday, which, is going to be really fun for DFS.
Amazing.
That's the slate. You don't have to worry about any shenanigans. The Panthers are playing it straight up. The Bucs are playing it straight up. And then, of course, Niners and Seahawks for the 1 seed, basically, and for the division. Should be a ton of fun on Saturday. So I can't wait to play that slate because we don't have to worry about motivation and playing time and whatever else. In the AFC, I was super excited to be like, okay, like, what if the Chargers get, hot this week and upset the Broncos? Like, what does that do for the Jaguars' motivation levels and all these things? And then they announced, our king has returned, Kyle. They're starting Trey Lance. And so now the path for the Patriots and the Jaguars, the 1 seed, while mathematically still possible, is almost impossible with Trey Lance starting. The line, I think, went from 7.5 to 11.5.
Yes, it's
the total is 36.5. And the market is implying the Chargers this week with our king, Trey Lance, under center for 11.5 points. So mathematically, those teams have something to play for. But really, the Broncos should take care of business and lock up the 1 seed. So, yeah, I was hoping for more drama this week. We'll get plenty of that on Saturday slate. And then, of course, Sunday Night Football is the AFC North winner-take-all to get in. So that'll be fun as well. But, Week 18 is a new challenge. And, I love it every year.
Update, Denver is now minus 12.5.
Okay.
At home. Now, that line seems fishy to me based on how the Broncos have played all year in underwhelming and making games very close against very suspect opponents like the Raiders, the Giants game they had to come back from. So they've had some weird games this year. The Broncos are like the opposite of the Falcons. The Falcons, when you think they should do something, they never do. They roll over. But when you count them out, and they're at home, and it's primetime, it's a very narrow road. This team shows out, and Bijan becomes even more than Bijan. So anyway, that line's interesting. It is an excuse to play Trey Lance if you're feeling alive and well. You can do that stuff. So all of that on the website if you want to go there. But I just wanted to do one more time. I wanted to celebrate with the people. Just congrats to all league winners, best ball champs. I'm seeing messages in our Discord of, hey, the league that I play in, the home league, it's a DFS league. And so the question we get a lot is like, oh, do I treat this like a cash contest? And so even if you play with 10 of your friends, 15 of your friends, 20 of your friends, those types of contests are super fun to play all year long, and you can treat them like a cash contest. And because you listen to this podcast, because you have the DFS pass, oh baby, you have a leg up on the competition. So excited for all those people. For me in best ball, we'll do some more reflecting as we get later on. Betz and I, we take a small little break in the month of February, but then we are back talking best ball, talking NFL draft, everything else. But that's when we'll do a lot more reflecting with best ball. I did want to make sure that I gave a little bit of an announcement. This is our final Tuesday episode of 2025, which I wish I had like a little sad drop here. It's a little sad, right?
Like a boo, the crowd booing.
That wouldn't be. I don't think I have that, but I have this one.
But liquor, our prices have never been lower.
Doesn't apply, but it's still a fun drop.
Fun drop. Yeah, it is always a bittersweet time of year. I think the NFL calendar, it makes the fall go by so fast, right? Because every week we repeat the same schedule and everything. But I really do love these Tuesday shows where we get to kind of reflect and just not give so many hard and fast takes, but just kind of digest information and kind of preview stuff. So I will miss the show, sadly, Kyle, but we will be back for Fridays moving forward. So we'll still have a Friday show this week, and then we'll be here every Friday through the Super Bowl. And then like Kyle said, we do take a little break. It's usually like 4 to 6 weeks, something like that, depending on the calendar. And then we're back pretty much to go full into NFL draft and rookies and best ball. And what's crazy about best ball, right, is like people in Discord are just sick. There was already somebody that was like, who's ready to talk some draft strategy? Or who's excited for the big board to drop? It's like, guys, come on. But yeah, the thing is that there's contests that go up so soon every year that there'll be something to talk about, so it won't be long. But yeah, these Tuesday shows are going to be done for the year. They're always fun. And I'm really glad we decided to add these, 2 years ago or whatever it was.
Yes. I did see on Monday, it showed up on my feed. I wasn't searching for it, but I did see someone like already post like, here's our 2026 mock draft for the first round of redraft. I was like, dude,
who's reading that?
Week 17 is not done yet. Like we still had the Falcons and Rams game. And I was like, my heart isn't ready for that. And I don't want to dive into that. So part of the reason we take a break is we try to do some reflecting about what has been valuable for the DFS pass, what has been valuable for this podcast. And I think one of the most valuable things, I'm going to take some time right now on this podcast, has been adding Chris Cash to our team. And if you've been in Discord or if you've had any questions about the optimizer, Chris has been all over it. I also think Chris is a really he won a ton of money last year in best ball. I think it's going to be something that as we move forward, we continue to add to our best ball product, add to our rankings, add to DraftKings, because I think over there is definitely a spot where you can find an edge that might be different than if you play on Underdog. So a lot of good stuff. We try to take a couple of weeks just to kind of assess and say, hey, what do we want to do for 2026? So this is an open message to you. If you want to send something to me, or Betz, you can DM us on Twitter. You can DM us on Discord. You could send it in. Our emails are really at fantasyfootballers.com. Anything that you have related to DFS and betting, we're very open to it. This is not us saying, hey, we're giving you, free reign. We're just saying, hey, we're open to feedback. We're open to any suggestions that you have of what you want to see more of and what kind of conversation. But the Discord still goes on. So that conversation still continues all throughout the offseason. So anyway, just wanted to give some props to our people, to everyone else in there. Really appreciate it. But let's take a quick break and we'll talk about Week 18.
Adobe Acrobat Studio, so brand new. Show me all the things PDFs can do. Do your work with ease and speed. PDF Spaces is all you need. Do hours of research in an instant with key insights from an AI assistant. Pick a template with a click. Now your prezzo looks super slick. Close that deal? Yeah, you won. Do that, doing that, did that, done. Now you can do that with Acrobat. Now you can do that with the all-new Acrobat. It's time to do your best work with the all-new Adobe Acrobat Studio.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here for Mint Mobile. You know, one of the perks about having 4 kids that you know about is actually getting a direct line to the big man up north. Mm-hmm. And this year, he wants you to know the best gift that you can give someone is the gift of Mint Mobile's unlimited wireless for $15 a month. Now, you don't even need to wrap it. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
State of the main slate.
So week 18, we don't have a Thursday game. So you can at least tell your significant other, hey, I'm free this Thursday. Or you could use the old Jeff Greenwood line, which is one of the best. Hey, honey, I'm not feeling football tonight. I'd love to just hang out with you and watch a movie.
That is, I mean, the NFL takes us away from our families every day, basically, if we're being honest, especially this time of year with Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I mean, during COVID, we had TuesdayFootball.com. It was just something else. But the NFL has gifted us this opportunity. Husbands, wives, whatever you have out there, you say to them, listen, honey, I've watched a lot of football this year. I love you. I'm sorry I've been busy. You want to go to dinner tonight? Just you and me? I'm not going to watch the game. Don't tell them anything else. This is our one opportunity to do that. So you better believe, Kyle, I will be doing that this week.
Yeah, just say this is, you know what, I want to start the new year off right.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
that's a great idea.
And I feel like, you know, I really care about, you know, relationships. I'm in a marriage that's 13 years. It's been going great. This is a really good opportunity for 2026 for you to say, hey, I've been doing a lot of soul searching. I've been, you know, just having this moment and like, yes, I love football, but I think I love you more. And so this Thursday, I just want to start the year off right.
But this is the sneaky thing you do, okay? Because we have college football playoff all day.
I knew that was coming.
On New Year's. And so you got to take her or him to a restaurant where there is a TV located somewhere that you can see, but you're not sitting at the bar, right? Like it's just there that you can at least take any action.
Are you about to give a plug?
For your local neighborhood bar and grill?
I mean, it's there. It's available. And I haven't been in 4 days.
Are you feeling all right, buddy?
We happened to go as a family this past weekend. The kids,
yes,
great time. And you know what? Even better, this is a great story. This is how I'm moving up in the husband world. Emma was doing some shopping around there, so she got to walk to her local, you know, bar and grill, Chili's. And I said, we'll get the table, me and the kids, you know, we'll do that. She walks right in. Guess what was sitting there waiting for her at the table?
You had multiple Don Julios.
Oh, it was there. She said, I feel so treated. So once again, this is about football, but this is really about how you set up your marriage, your relationships for success. And Chili's gets to be a part of that. If you're listening, Chili's, obviously, easy sponsor for State of the Main Slate. It's a great segment.
DMs could not be more open. Speaking of college football playoff, how are you feeling about your Alabama Crimson Tide?
Yeah, that's. I feel excited that they made it this far. So my sister went to Bama. My family is Bama fans. I'm very much like, I like the SEC, but I'm not sold out. In the middle of the Falcons game, after Bijan's run, what's so funny is I was like, all right, boys. Like I was talking to my boys. I was like, all right, what do we say? You know, like, how do we feel, boys? I was trying to get a vibes in the room. And my youngest, right after Bijan scores, he goes, Roll Tide. He didn't know what to say.
I mean, that's kind of works.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's really great also for us doing the scouting for the Dynasty podcast. We kind of get this condensed version of the best players in college football. For some people, that leads you to like Matthew Golden a lot based on what you do in the college football playoffs. For others, look at the body of work. And we're still waiting on that touchdown, buddy.
He doesn't have a single touchdown this year?
No.
Oh, man, I can like vividly remember a couple plays where he like defender breaks it up or drops it at like the goal line on like a deep bomb. Like that's crazy. No touchdowns at all the entire year.
Yeah, he probably had a couple earlier that should have happened, but Anyway, we'll talk more about him on the Dynasty podcast. We're doing a review of the rookies over the next couple of weeks. So the slate for Week 18, we have a 2-game Saturday slate, which is the NFC South title is the first game, Buccaneers and Panthers. And then the nightcap could not be more intriguing. Seahawks, 49ers. The line flipped this morning. It's now Seahawks minus 1.5 on the road. So that's interesting of where that is. Basically almost like a pick 'em, 49.5 total. That 2-game Saturday slate will be quite intriguing considering we don't have a Thursday night. But then you look at the main slate and it is loaded with teams and loaded with a lot of quarterbacks that will not be starting next year, a lot of situations that we are uncertain about. So Week 18 kind of comes down to what can you feel the most confident in, and then what is the field so confident in that you can use as leverage on them? I don't know. How do you approach Week 18 from a, bankroll perspective?
I don't play a ton of cash in Week 18 just because there's so much fragility in projections. It almost feels like a Week 1 slate in some aspects because like we think starters are going to play and then, they're up 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter or the third quarter and they get pulled because they have a game, in 7 days or whatever it is. So, and then there's also input volatility too, right? Like we haven't seen these quarterbacks. Like Riley Leonard's going to start. We don't have a good sample size on him. We're still waiting on like what's going on with Washington and, there's a bunch of other issues. Chris, what's his name? Aludikin for the Chiefs. Like
Aludikin.
We only have a small sample size on him. A Raiders team that desperately would love to lose this game. Like there's just so much input volatility to projections. If you are somebody that builds with an optimizer, I would encourage you to loosen up your rules. I would encourage you to make edits to the projections if you feel differently about certain players and teams. There's so much questionable motivation on these slates, and there's so much uncertainty about talent level of certain players that I really think it's a great week to get off the board. So for that reason, I play a lot more large field tournaments, and I play a lot less cash than I usually do.
Sorry, I got distracted. The person I just saw this. Do you know the person that won the DK Best Ball Millie was at the Falcons game?
I saw this. Amazing. Needed a huge game from Bijan to take down first. Went and saw it in person. What a cool story.
Oh man, I got tagged in it a couple of times just from Falcons related stuff. What a fun week. Like this whole condensed week is really, really great. With all the playoff motivation at stake, which games do you feel like we should circle in on? Because there are 2 that are sitting around the 50-point mark that we can feel good about. And then I look at some of the team implied totals of some of these teams that are approaching 28, 30 points even for the Jaguars that I'm trying to just condense around those teams. Jaguars are one of those teams I've circled. It's like they technically have a shot at the 1 seed, which is probably not going to happen. But more importantly, they win, they get the AFC South crown, they get the number 3 seed. That seems pretty important to me. So what are the games and the implied totals that you're honing in on?
Yeah, I think just from a totals perspective, we have Dallas and the Giants. Obviously, both teams eliminated at 52.5. We have confirmation from Brian Schottenheimer that the starters will play for the Cowboys. I think the Giants will just kind of play it straight up because that's what they've done for the last 3 or 4 weeks anyway. So I feel pretty good about that, even though there's no motivation for either team. The one that I'm still trying to figure out is the highest total here next is Detroit and Chicago. Dan Campbell, who is kind of a, culture, he's a hard-o type guy. Remember when Sam Laporta got hurt a couple years ago and they played in Week 18 and people, of course, in hindsight bias, were like, well, you shouldn't have done that. This seems like an awesome spot to lose and get a 4th place schedule and not risk Amon-Ra St. Brown and not risk Jameson Williams and all these guys.
Dan doesn't like the idea of being a 4th place guy.
That's what I'm saying. So he has said the guys that are there will play. We're still waiting on news on that. But Chicago obviously has full motivation here to lock up the 2 seed and try to make sure that they have a nice home field advantage for most of the playoffs. So I think those are good game environments. I will say the nice thing about the scheduling from a timing perspective is the Jags aren't going to know what's going on with Denver.
Correct.
They play at 1. Denver plays late in the window. So I think the Jags will play it straight up. They're huge favorites, 30-point implied team total against Tennessee, so I do love that. Cowboys and Patriots, same thing with the Patriots. They play at the same time as Denver, so they need Denver to lose and they need to win to get the 1 seed. Do they scoreboard watch in the fourth quarter? Maybe, but if they're rolling in the fourth quarter, presumably Drake May already has a great game just like last week. So I think they'll play it straight up, so I'm not really worried about that. I am antennas up on the Rams, kind of like we talked about. McVay says they're going to play, but like you look at the team, you know, you have Blake Corum banged up from last night's game. They have multiple offensive line injuries. Devontae Adams is still hurt. If they lose a couple of key starters here, you can pretty much kiss their playoff opportunity in Super Bowl window goodbye, right? So there's argument for both sides. I'm hesitant in this team total. Like I really wanted to come in and bet the under because I think we could see some shenanigans, but I don't feel super confident in that. So they have a 27 implied team total, and the Rams at 26.5 also look. The Bears at 26.5 look pretty good.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out that Rams-Cardinals game and figure out, is this a sneaky game that you can... Because things will shift later on in the week. We'll get news about whatever McVay says, but the Cardinals are a team that are circling the drain, and yet we still care about them for fantasy and for DFS. So it feels like one of those games that once we get news, whatever that is, about starters or not starters, this game might get passed on. And I do think in the late window, it's interesting. The hardest part this week, too, like last week we had 2 games in the late window. So it was almost like, it didn't really matter. I guess, did you play your Genty? Did you play your, Michael Mayer? And at the end of the day, the game just was kind of irrelevant, the afternoon window. I know that your Eagles won in the rain, but it was a gross game, right? And it's especially a gross second half. I did not watch the second half, and I feel better for it. This week, man, with so many games in the late window, 7 games, like I don't have my head around yet how late swap is going to work. That shows up in our best plays article and our tournament takes article of like, here's the chalk in the morning, here's what you can do. There's just a lot more at play this week. Like I feel not confident in a 7-game late window. We've never had anything like this year.
For sure. And if you are someone that feels like overwhelmed by the motivation and what teams are playing for stuff and how do I late swap around that, the nice thing about these slates, like there's enough games in the early window, you can just play early only. Yes. Or if you wanted to play late window only, and if you got plans early in the day, late window, it's a ton of games. Like normally it's like 2 or 3, right? So I might do that a little bit too this week and just split up my action just to get different exposures to certain teams and players and stuff like that. But yeah, there is an opportunity here to play early only or late only if that's something you like to do. Yeah,
and another way that I'm approaching it this week is I feel like the Saturday 2-game slate gives me kind of a practice run at how the playoffs work. You and I talk a lot about like, hey, you get these 4-game slates, these 2-game slates as we move through the playoffs. It's just a good practice run of playing those. You can also play the Sunday night slate if you want to play Showdown, Ravens Steelers. So a lot of ways to approach this week and a lot of fragility in some of the projections. I think one of the games that I am circling, I mentioned it earlier, is the Jaguars and Titans. The total's at 47.5. We mentioned the Jaguars and their 30-point implied total. But I want to give a little love to the Titans because I've probably been a little bean, and maybe rightfully so, the first 12 weeks of the season. But over the last month, their games have hit the over in 3 of the last 4, but they've scored 31, 24, 26, and 26 points over the last month. That's pretty impressive for a team that is running out Van Jefferson, friend of the podcast out there. And the teams they played at Cleveland, they played at San Francisco, they played Kansas City, and they played New Orleans. These are pretty good defenses overall that they've been putting up 24-plus points. So I think the Titans are an interesting team to be able to fight back. I was kind of shocked how low their implied total was. It's at 17.5, but I do like that game environment.
Yeah, I like that too. That makes a lot of sense. I already mentioned Dallas and the Giants. Unless we hear otherwise, I do think these teams just kind of play it straight up. The Giants are still mathematically alive for the 1 seed, but they would need the Raiders to lose to the Chiefs, which I guess in theory could happen, but I think the Cowboys will wipe the floor with them here. So I feel confident in the Cowboys side of this. And then the Giants side, it's been nice because they had some injury issues and stuff where it's like the opportunity is pretty much condensed to guys like Wandale, or if you want to play one of the running backs, like you kind of just know where the ball is going here. So I'm penciling in that game and just kind of waiting to see if anything shifts news-wise. But right now, I do like Dallas and the Giants.
All right, the game that I think is the sneakiest is the one that you have down, and I'll comment on because I feel like it's something that you can feel pretty confident that the Falcons and Saints are going to be playing their starters, despite the fact that they have nothing to play for. The Falcons, they took that Rams game seriously because they said, hey, I know you guys have our pick. I know you're laughing at us and the world's laughing at us because it's pick. Eat that. And so it's an interesting game. It's in a dome. And I think there's the players, if you want to do a Tyler Shuck stack with Chris Olave, bring it back with Bijan as a starting place, it's a really easy way to kind of start this slate with something you can have confidence in.
Yeah, for sure. Even though both teams are eliminated, they have no reason not to just kind of play it straight up here. So even though the game doesn't mean anything, I feel pretty confident in playing time and usage and all that sort of stuff. It'll be business as usual. And Tyler Shuck's been great. And the Falcons, they have guys that pop up for huge games kind of intermittently, right? Bijan exploded last night. He's had a great run recently. We've seen Kyle Pitts have a ceiling. Drake London obviously has been banged up, but we know that's there for him too. So there's options here to provide a nice score. So I'm kind of surprised the total is as low as it is.
That's same
honestly.
with me. I was like 43.5. That's going to fly under the radar. I think I would take the over right now. Fun fact. Do you know who led the Falcons in receiving on Monday night? With 37 receiving yards.
David Sills?
David Sills, the fifth.
Wow.
Which, I don't know if you know David Sills' story. In college at West Virginia, he was like a big-time receiver, Blitnikoff Award finalist. He's 29 years old. He's just a random dude. Led the Rams in receiving yards. Do you know who led them?
T. Ferg?
Xavier Smith.
Okay. Shout out to Xavier.
It was a weird game. I mean, Drake London had one catch.
Yeah. What's going on? I mean, maybe it's injury related, but weird.
It's also Kirk related. But anyway, that's the game that I think I have circled early on in the week that I'm very interested in, Atlanta and New Orleans. A game that I want to be underweight on is because as of this moment, I have no clue how Minnesota and Green Bay will play out. Green Bay has nothing to play for. They're locked into the 7th seed, which is hilarious because it's possible and very likely that they play the Bears on the road in the playoffs. But I have no idea how this game plays out. There's just a lot of question marks.
Yeah, Green Bay is the 7th seed no matter what happens to any other team or their team this weekend, so they literally have nothing to play for. And that's reflected in the line. I've seen Minnesota some -5s out there, -5.5,
This is the Matthew
-6.
Golden week.
Oh, of course it's going to be because he'll play with the backups. And there's injury question marks at quarterback, right? With Malik Willis' shoulder and Jordan Love in concussion protocol. And they're a banged up team, right? Josh Jacobs has been limping through games for a month and a half now. They've got offensive line injuries. They've got some defensive injuries. It makes a lot of sense to just rest some key players because you're going on the road to either Philly or Chicago in a week. And man, if the Bears get Chicago in the first game of the playoffs, that's going to be really fun. So yeah, they have nothing to play for, which it always makes it weird and questionable for sure. So I like that call. I'm also going to be I think hands off Las Vegas and KC. I mean, the Raiders here should want to try to lose this game no matter what. No matter what. Get the number 1 pick. Do whatever you have to do to lose this game. We've already seen it with Bowers and Max Crosby, and I wouldn't be surprised if Genty sat here. It's just one of those games I don't really want any exposure to. The total's at 36.5, so I'll be passing.
If the Chiefs lose this game, they would have the 8th pick.
So they're motivated to lose.
They've lost 5 in a row. So I wonder what it's like in the locker room. Andy Reid, talking to the boys and say, hey guys, we've never felt this before. We don't know what a long losing streak is like, but 2, without Mahomes, a top 10 pick right here, it's a weird situation for the team. Yeah, that's definitely one that I always try to sort through these situations and then try to find somewhere that I could buy into that the field's not doing it, some contrarian aspect. No idea with the Chiefs. You and I previewed them. If you listened to Wednesday's Dynasty episode, you and I went through and talked about a lot of free agency, a lot of offseason. We did an offseason preview. And the Chiefs wide receiver room, dude, and the running backs. There's just so much there that we don't know. Maybe we see some Brashard Smith. That'd be fun.
I mean, it would make all the sense in the world to me to see, hey, can we put him in a feature role and just see what he does with 18 touches? Do we really need to give Kareem Hunt 7 carries this week? Probably not. But coaches do weird stuff to the veterans that they respect and care about, so who knows? And then obviously they want to send off Kelsey on a high note, but is the quarterback play even good enough? I will say Hollywood Brown has some incentives in his contract. For I believe a touchdown makes him a bunch of money this week, so maybe a one-off of Hollywood or something, but otherwise it's this game looks nasty.
A team that I'm confident in their implied total, I have the Texans. They're at 25.3 in their implied total. D'Amico Ryans already came out and said CJ Stroud and the starters are going to be playing. They can move up to the 3 seed. They actually could fall as low as the 7 if they lose and other things break right, but they're probably going to end up being either the 5 or the 3 seed, and they're playing the same time as Jacksonville, so we don't really know, we can't make assumptions about what's going to happen there, but I think the Texans at home against the Colts are a team you can be confident in.
If they end up at the 5 seed, and let's say the Steelers win, that game's going to be like 12-11. Like some sort of random low-scoring, just disgusting game. Oh, man, with defenses kind of showing out there. I like that call quite a bit. They have all the motivation for sure, so I don't think we see any funny business.
They've won 8 in a row.
Yeah, they're getting hot at the right time. And that's the other thing, too, about the awards markets, and not just awards, but also NFL playoffs, is like teams peaking at the right time. Like, you can kind of just feel it. Like, if the Bucs happen to win this game and they're in, I just don't think they'll advance. So it's one of those things where you want to be peaking at the right time, and the Texans absolutely are, for sure. I do have down Rams if they play starters, and that's my caveat. So I personally will not be betting this until we have confirmation. But this Arizona defense, dude, is just so horrendous. If you get 3/4 of Stafford, even a half of Stafford with Jimmy Garoppolo coming in, I think they can put up 27 points. They gave up a 20-yard completion to an offensive tackle who was lined up as a wide receiver last week for the Bengals. This Cardinals defense, truly, truly, truly awful right now. So I think the Rams can put up points.
The Raiders, I can't in good conscience put them down for over 15 points. I don't know what this team wants to do, and I don't think it's... I don't know what the playing time is going to look like, even with Genty.
And it won't be Geno, we know that. I don't think they've announced a starter, but I think it'll be Pickett. You know what's going to happen. They're absolutely going to play Tyler Lockett like 85% of the snaps.
Trey Tucker's going to go for $200.
Probably, randomly. What a team, man. I can't believe we bet they're over. Idiots.
Gosh.
I'm going to take, and this is contrarian, but I'm going to take under on the Lions. It's at 24 points. We don't look to the under on the Lions very often, but the offensive line is decimated by injury. Amon-Ra is battling a knee injury. I feel like they're probably going to start him and play him, but like, why should you? Why would you? So I think there's a lot of fragility in the Lions this week. Golf on the road in the elements in Chicago. I will take the under on 24.
All right, let's take a quick break and we'll talk about some salary standouts.
Adobe Acrobat Studio, so brand new. Show me all the things PDFs can do. Do your work with ease and speed. PDF Spaces is all you need. Do hours of research in an instant with key insights from an AI assistant. Pick a template with a click. Now your prezzo looks super slick. Close that deal? Yeah, you won. Do that, doing that, did that, done. Now you can do that with Acrobat. Now you can do that with the all-new Acrobat. It's time to do your best work with the all-new Adobe Acrobat Studio.
With Sylvania, seeing better while driving at night starts with you. Because headlight bulbs dim over time and can lose up to 50 feet of visibility before burnout. That's why you shouldn't wait. Upgrade your drive with brighter lights for better visibility on the road ahead. Sylvania's step-by-step installation video guides make it easier than ever to take control of your nighttime clarity, all without a trip to the mechanic. So before a burnout darkens your day, upgrade to Sylvania and see better tonight.
Salary standouts.
4,500. Trey Lance. Lock it in right now.
Next question.
It's not even a thought if he's in my lineup. I haven't even made a lineup, but he's in there. He's in there just to feel alive.
I mean, we only get this opportunity once a year. And if you think I'm passing on 4,500 Trey Lance in DFS this week, you've got another thing coming.
Some people wait a lifetime for a moment like this, right? Someone once said. And I'm looking at our doc for the Tuesday main show. And when we get to week 18, Andy, Mike, and Jason get a little, I don't know, what's the best way to describe it? Just a little squirrely, little like, why are we doing this? We love the people, but also we're not really giving fantasy advice. Because if you're in a week 18 league, it's whatever. But Mike has Trey Lance down as a streamer of the week. I mean, that's not even a question. when I look at quarterbacks I would actually play, we need to kind of go through this list and talk about players that have something to play for, that are at a good price point, and we also understand that points per dollar, you're going to end up probably in the 4 or 5K range this week. It's what's going to happen. So Tyler Shuck, I feel like, is the one who's been playing the best. We feel confident in his playing time, and we said we like the game environment.
Yep, I like Tyler Shuck a lot. You could also drop down if you did want to get one of these nasty boys in the 4K range. We're still waiting on official news from the Eagles, but Tanner McKee kind of owns. Oh yeah, he's nasty. He's a lot of people in the NFL think he actually might be good, but he would be the starter if they do rest Jalen Hurts. It's the Commanders. Obviously, it's a really good matchup. He is also 4,500, same price as Trey Lance, so I think he would make the player pool if he is the starter. But if you don't want to mess around with any of that funny business, Tyler Shuck is underpriced for how good he's been.
Yeah, Jackson Dart is another name if you want to circle him, 5,700. We've talked all year long about how DraftKings pricing is way too cheap. So the fact that he's still under 6K and he's running the way that he does, it's amazing. It's great. When you sort by fantasy points per dropback, it's Josh Allen, it's Drake May, it's Jackson Dart. So those are kind of the ones that are showing up at the top of that list, but he's kind of the best if you're looking at pricing. If we go to running back, it's really early in the week. So there are going to be names in our Friday episode that I was like, holy crap, I forgot this guy was in the league. And yet,
I can't wait.
Week 18, I will be playing him. So any names earlier in the week that you were like, okay, I'm down with this?
Again, caveat, wait till we get to Friday. But if the Rams do play the starters and Blake Corum is out, Kyren Williams at 6,700 looks awesome. I think there's a chance we see them rest Saquon. And if they do, Will Shipley is 4,400. I think they might. I mean, you'd probably see some Tank Bigsby too, but I think that they value Tank's RB2 role over Shipley at this point in the season. So I think Shipley would be the air quotes RB1 here. That's interesting. We're waiting on so much news that it really is a question mark here. I think we'll have enough cheap options, whether it's a quarterback, running back, even like a wide receiver play, that you'll be able to fit Beach on this week. And I think that would be my preference at the top.
All right, some cheap names that I want to at least bring up now. Dylan Sampson is 5,200. He faces the Bengals, who are still trying to figure out how to play defense. He's interesting. Audric Estime is 5K in that same exact game. I probably won't be playing those two together, Shuck and Estime, but he's a cheap tag if you want to look that direction. I mean, this is where we're going to end up. We're probably going to end up having some type of stud. If you want to play Bijan at 8,700, be my guest. He's awesome. Chase Brown has been incredible over the last 2 months. He's 7,600. He's going to be interesting too. But we really need to wait till later on in the week to figure out who the cheapies are, because I could see myself playing one stud and then having 2, 4, 5K running backs that the field is also begging to play. We're also at the point of the year where everyone kind of knows this is how it shakes out. And so it's kind of like a fun Christmas present post-Christmas to unwrap and go, I get a 4K running back? I get a 5K running back? I want to play that.
Do you think the Bills do anything with James Cook or the starters?
That is a great question.
Because we could get Ray Davis at 4,900. Ty Johnson is 4,900. Just some other guys I'm looking at here.
It does feel like a good Ray Davis spot just because he's done nothing all year.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll see.
It's interesting there. At wide receiver, the conversation we've had a lot is Puka, Chase, Amon-Ra. They're at the top here, and Chase feels like the easiest when we're talking about playing time and how that's going to shake out. Chris Olave is now priced in a... Remember when we had the conversation about Chris Olave as like, oh, he's just a good cash guy. He's like 5,800 or whatever. It's now up to 7,400. I feel like our boy has grown up, and yet he's still going to project really, really well. He's the wide receiver 6 on the season.
We just needed Tyler Shuck to get in there. Just needed Tyler Shuck. He was like the king of expected fantasy points for the first 2 months because the rat tail just couldn't do it. I still like him. I still think he's a good play. The Cowboys guys look good if they do play it straight up. We talked about Nico. 7K for Nico feels way too cheap. I know he had a down game this past week, but that's interesting to me. I do not believe Marv plays this week, which means Jerry Rice, a.k.a. Mike Wilson, at 6,600. back and play. There's a lot of good options. And then if you wanted to think about the Lions, if they do play it straight up and Amon-Ra happens to be out, Jameson Williams at 6,700 I think would be a very, very good play.
You have a lot of Jaguars in the 5K range. Jacoby Myers, 5,600. Brian Thomas Jr., you're not going to play him in cash, but 5,300. And then Parker Washington at 5,100, also in the mix this week. We talked about their implied total. So you're going to probably see Jacoby Myers show up in a lot of optimals early on in the week. Can I interest you, my friend, in a player who is 5,800? Some would call him one of the greats. A 35% first read target share. If I told you you get a 35% first read target share, 5,800, are you interested in Justin Jefferson?
Bootlicker, our prices have never been lower.
I played him every time. He's been too cheap. I keep donating to our friends at DraftKings.com. Why stop now? Yeah, I'm going to play him. Of course, Kyle. Come on.
Hey, it's a good time. The Texans guys are interesting. Jaden Higgins, 4,500. Chimere DK, 4,400. A couple of rookies, I think that you're going to see some extended playing time in Week 18. They're interesting, but I'm still waiting on later in the week to kind of figure out who the cheapies and who the playing time are. Trey Tucker, 4,000.
Also, the Bears guys, still waiting on that. With Luther Burden was awesome Sunday night. Picked up a quad injury late in the game. We're seeing on him, still unsure on Rome. So there's a lot of uncertainty on Chicago, but we'll probably get at least one of these guys as an option, which really brings me to tight end.
Okay.
Mr. Loveland. I love him either way this week.
I'm shocked.
He's ascending.
I'm shocked at his price.
That's what I'm saying. He's ascending late in the year, and now we have all these injuries around him. If Burden's out, if Rome's out, he's going to get, I think, more first read targets than DJ Moore. And it's a really, really good matchup against Detroit. So I love Loveland this week. You could certainly pivot in tournaments if he's mega chalk, but I think he's going to be one of the best point per dollar plays on the slate, depending on injury situation.
He's 3,900. Right below him, a couple other plays that also are intriguing. Dalton Schultz at 3,800. Brenton Strange at 3,800. A lot of these guys that we can project their playing time. Juwan Johnson up a little bit further, but if you're sorting by targets per dollar, he's definitely going to show up at 4,200 as a good tag. We still have Trey McBride, though, man. We still have to deal with the fact that this guy's having an all-time season. At 7,500, I'm looking at some of the wide receivers in that range, and you're dealing with Olave and the Cowboys guys there. So any McBride interest, because we still don't know the Rams' motivation, but I feel like McBride's still going to do his thing.
I think they're going to play it straight up for Arizona, and we kind of just know the recipe here for Jacoby with the dropbacks. And the Rams defense has really, really struggled recently. Just over the last 5 or 6 weeks, they've been giving up almost 30 points per game. So I really like the Cardinals here in the Dome, taking on a struggling Rams team. And if Marv is out, you know where the ball goes. So I definitely want some interest here, or want some exposure here, rather, in tournaments.
Defense is all over the map this week because the way that the pricing works is it's usually related to matchup, implied total, the line, all of those things. And then as these lines shift throughout the week, I was even looking at, the Broncos line. It's like, okay, we went from 7.5 to 12.5. It does change who's available at certain price points, where before I was like, oh, I guess I'm going to pay up for these other spots, but there's a bunch of random punt teams here that I'm also kind of intrigued in. I mean, there's a lot of cheap teams this week, but there's also, a ton of games going on. So who stands out to you at defense?
Yeah, because I think we'll have so much value, I think you're actually going to be able to pay up at defense this week. Denver against Trey Lance with motivation makes sense. Houston with motivation against Riley Leonard. Good luck, buddy.
That one's enticing at 3,700.
Man, I feel bad for the kid. Cleveland, I know that they're not having the best matchup here with Cincy because of Joe Burrow playing well and all those things, but for fantasy defensive scoring, you want dropbacks to have the opportunity for sacks and turnovers, and they're going to drop back Joe Burrow a ton here, so I don't mind Cleveland as a punt option.
The Vikings at 3K are interesting based on how they blitz and the Packers having their backups. That one's kind of intriguing to me. Yeah, there's lots of teams at play, but I think you're right. If we're going to get a couple of 4 or 5K running backs in here, you're going to find some wide receiver in the cheap range. You might pay down at quarterback, you're going to be able to pay up for one of these stud defenses. So right now, early in the week, I think I like the Texans the most, but maybe that's because I like Trey Lance.
Man, you think if he comes out and plays well, we have a quarterback controversy in LA?
Dude, I have him stashed everywhere. Everywhere.
It would be so fun this weekend if Trey Lance came in, shocked the world, and the Broncos lose the 1 seed because of Trey friggin' Lance.
Dude, that would be amazing. Now, I almost added him to one of my home league teams just to like get him like a ring.
Oh, you should have put him on the squad.
Yeah, I put Kirk Cousins on the squad.
He deserves it.
Well,
he deserves it.
Yeah, it was kind of to play defense. My opponent had Stafford, but part of me was like going through my head like, well, if Keenan was on waivers, I obviously would add Keenan, but he was on a team. It's just stuff like that at the end of the year. That's the stuff that really matters. When people look back at this roster, they'll see Kirk Cousins.
We'll go down in the record books.
Yeah, dude's a champ. That's going to do it for this episode. Like we said, this is the final Tuesday episode of 2025. On Friday's episode, Betz and I will break down the whole slate. We'll talk about the games we want to stack up, give you our cash picks, prop it like it's hot, give you our slate breakers, all that stuff. We might even tell you some of our 2026 resolutions, things that we have on the calendar, things that we will grow with. Betz, tell everyone goodbye.
Well, now I feel pressured to come up with a resolution by Friday. So thanks, Kyle. Appreciate that. For the final time on a Tuesday, signing off for you this week. We'll be back on Friday to break down the main slate. Like Kyle said, enjoy New Year. Happy New Year to everybody. Enjoy the college football playoff. And remember, don't forget to tell your spouse. Taking them out for dinner this Thursday night. We'll catch you guys on Friday. Have a great week. We'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to another edition of the Fantasy Footballers DFS and Betting Podcast. Don't forget to visit us on the web at thefantasyfootballers.com.
This is a real good story about Bronx and his dad, Ryan, real United Airlines customers.
We were returning home, and one of the flight attendants asked Bronx if he wanted to see the flight deck and meet Captain Andrew.
I got to sit in the driver's seat.
I grew up in an aviation family, and seeing Bronx kind of reminded me of myself when I was that age.
That's Andrew, a real United pilot.
These small interactions can shape a kid's future.
It felt like I was the captain.
Allowing my son to see the flight deck will stick with us forever.
That's how good leads the way.
The McDonald's Snack Wrap is back. You brought it back. Ranch Snack Wrap. Spicy Snack Wrap. You broke the internet. For a snack. Snack Wrap is back. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.